then we lived way out in the country, so it was really hard to have a yard sale, and since I
Okay.
had little kids, I would put a lot of stuff on eBay and just and it was back in the day when you didn't put pictures on, and if you did put a picture on, you had to pay, like, 10 cents or a quarter to add
Right.
a picture,
Oh
Mhm.
my.
so, I
Okay,
mean
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
and they would send you cash in the mail, and then you would
Mhm.
send it, and just it was on the honor system. Of course, you sent me a money order for this
Right.
all crap up, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna send it to you, and I did. So, it was a lot of the honor system. There was no tracking system, there was no, um, support system. It was completely I felt like I was on an island until about, maybe 2016. And then
Wow.
I realized that there was all these other people out here on YouTube and, Instagram and stuff like that that did the same thing that I did, and, then you just get all excited again, and you start all over, and that's when you start meeting friends and it becomes fun. So, I've I've
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been doing this way long time, way long time.
Wow. 97.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I remember using eBay. I would buy belt buckles off of eBay, and I could remember, then this was it was probably like 2000-ish, and I remember it would take forever to, like, scroll to the next page, you know?
Oh,
You'd have to
yeah,
wait for it to load to look at the next
Mhm.
item. Oh,
yes,
it's
and
so
I was
crazy.
on dial-up, so if
I
you
was
were
gonna say this is
scrolling
dial-up days.
and you had call
Oh
waiting
my.
and someone
Oh,
Oh,
would
no.
yes.
and it would kick you off, and you'd have to start all over, and if you were, like, putting a listing in, and someone called, and I had teenage girls at the time, so I was constantly getting phone calls to make
Yeah.
one listing. Oh my gosh, I just wanna finish this listing,
Took
guys, and you
forever.
can't control who's I know,
Oh
so
my
I'd mostly do it when they were at school so
Mhm.
that I didn't have, like but during the summer, forget it. There's no way. There was no way.
Yeah. That's so
Oh,
funny.
man.
I
Yeah.
remember that. My mom
My
did,
mom
transcription at home, and it was over the phone too.
Oh, wow.
uh-huh.
So it would kick her off if the phone rang, and she would say, "Hurry up and get off the phone so I can, get back to work."
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
I
man.
remember that. Jeez.
Yeah,
Wow.
they would I would so our computer desk was at the top of the stairs, there was nowhere else to put it, and we couldn't put it in somebody's bedroom because then they would think it was their computer, and we only had the one computer in the house, so
Right.
it
Yeah.
would all take turns in this hallway. So as kids are running back and forth, and you're trying to pay attention, and somebody would call, and I'd be like, "Come on, what's going on?"
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
that's
I don't miss
crazy
those
to think
days.
that That's crazy to think that people would buy off eBay and there was no pictures of the things,
So,
you know?
those listings didn't do very well. I mean, at first, like, the first maybe year or so, there was a few that didn't have photos, and nobody bought those. So
Yeah.
you
Right.
realized that you had to pay the 10 cents, but there was a lot of people that were like, "I'm not paying 10 cents to put on a
Mhm.
photo."
Yeah.
And then you'd see things that were like, "Red shirt." What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't
Oh,
I can't even think of how you would upload how would you take a picture on what? A camera? And how did you get
yes.
the photo from your camera to the computer back in those days? I don't even remember.
Well, so it depended on your
'Cause I
camera, because you could get a cord that would go from your USB or what is that thing called? Your tower. You would put the
Yeah.
cord into the tower and to your camera, and then all of it would upload, or you had an SD card that would go into the slot that's
Mhm.
on the side of the thing,
Yeah.
you know?
In the '90s? They had that in the '90s?
Maybe I mean, '97. It was late
I
'90s
get
when this started. So,
I guess. I remember the
Yeah.
first time I saw a digital camera,
oh, yeah.
I remember the very first time. I remember where I was. I mean, it was like when the Challenger blew up. I remember where I was the first time someone took a picture and then they showed me the camera and I was like, "Whoa, that's amazing." Like, I remember that. Like, that was
Yeah.
like, completely like, mind-blowing to me.
I
Yeah,
And that
I
had to
got
been
my first
oh, that was probably the same time,
early 2000s, I
like
got my
90s,
first
97.
digital camera. Very
or
early.
when your
So,
phone your very first phone, the time that you've seen somebody take a picture with their phone, and it was a
yeah.
terrible
Yeah.
picture. You were like, "Wow, you can do that?" Yeah. I remember
I know.
so I have a cousin that's super involved with, like, writing code and inventing
Mhm.
stuff like that. He worked for, like, a Motorola or whatever, and he invented this thing and sold it to Apple, and we're sitting in my grandma's house at Thanksgiving, and he's like, "Well, someday we're gonna have our computers are gonna be in our hand, and we're just gonna walk around with them, and that's gonna be." And I was like, "Oh, shut up. That's not true." And now everybody's got, smartphones, and we're walking around with computers in our hand, and I'm like,
Right.
Oh, I
"Can't
know, and
do
people are
that."
yeah.
Hi, friends. Be sure to join the Flipping Fantastic podcast crew for more eBay tips, reselling tricks, and all the laughs you didn't know you needed. Don't wait. Click the subscribe button. The best flipping stories are yet to come.